if you're training the wrong things, if you're doing the wrong things, you work very hard, but you're making things bad, making things worse, yeah?
You can run very fast, but if you run in wrong way, where you be?
Farther from your goal.
Yeah, of course.
If you're running towards the lion. Hello, hello. How are you? Today we're at the superhero and villain, Alexei Oleinik. Alexei is, he's currently in the UFC. He's the youngest guy in the UFC? Youngest guy in the UFC.
Yeah, I'm absolutely youngest guy. Hello, everyone.
And Alexei has been training with me. We were training in Florida in the past, and he came here to Chicago to be in the studio and be in my facilities. And he'd been choking me many times today, making it very difficult to breathe. So I appreciate these lessons. But I think something very special that he shared with me, something that I'm learning in the context of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, grappling, that I know in business, but I'm learning again here is all the little details. And something when he and I first met, and a good friend of ours introduced us, and when we first met some months ago, Alexei and I walk into, he invites me to his gym. It's a private gym down in Florida. It's called American Top Team. It's one of the most respected gyms in the world. And we go into a private room down there, and he explains to me, he said, I know 80 ways to choke someone. My teacher, he knows 300 ways. I remember 80 because I do them all the time. Which you want to learn. In the next lesson, I thought that was very humorous that I would share. If I was making a documentary about my MMA journey, I would definitely include that moment. But the next lesson that I thought was very important, that you made this connection in my head, that I know in business, I know in the stock market, but I needed to do better in MMA. As you say, sometimes, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters makes a very big difference in the outcome of, breaking an arm or not, or choking someone or not. And you tell me, and maybe you would explain the difference from like beginner level, white belt, beginner, amateur, versus, elite level of those increments in difference.
Everything depends from details, of course. Each car have 4 wheels, have window, have everything. But this may be Bugatti, maybe, I don't know, Volkswagen, maybe something else. And of course, I show you, and even you show me today, any submission, any choke depend from the details. But we speak with you, and we together speak about everything is in our life depend from details. Little details, and you on the top, or you close.
There's a difference of winning or losing, and something you mentioned today, that maybe there are 20, 30 things that you have to think about in some movements in a sequence in MMA.
Even
maybe 20, 30 things.
In small submission, many details.
And maybe you miss one, it's okay. Maybe you miss 2, but with somebody who is also very good, is not allowed to miss 1 thing, 2 things. There's a difference of winning or losing. Or in real life situation, in real life fight, maybe you're going to die. You defended your family, you protect your family, or you die in front of your family because you don't want to pay attention to those little details.
Absolutely.
Something I thought also the way that you explained when you were showing me the details of like an arm bar, of like pulling that joint in down in Florida, getting that secure and pulling it in. And you showed me how that feels, that like beginner level, maybe there's a 2-inch gap. And it's much more hard, if you have that extra 2 inches, it's much more hard to secure this movement and have the right outcome to make your opponent tap, or to be able to break their arm easily if they didn't. And then you say you tighten that up a little bit. You say this is beginner, blue belt, brown belt, black belt. And the black belt is very tight, very precise. And something you stress all the time of fill in all the space. Fill in all the space. Don't leave space for your opponent to breathe or move.
If you don't give, if you don't make mistake, if you don't make space for mistake, if you don't give nobody chance for make, I don't know, for injured for you, for win for you, for tap for you, you better. You can't lose. You can be injured. You can't. I can't explain, but you understand. I hope you understand.
Alexei has you have 60 professional wins. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 was many professional fighters. Their whole career is maybe half of this. That you could be in the Hall of Fame with 30 fights, and this man has 60 professional wins. I think 47 by submission. Yeah. More than 47 submission?
More, yeah.
Yeah. So mostly by submission. 60 professional wins. Almost all he made his opponent tap, give up because he's choking them, or they in one way or another either they cannot breathe, or he's going to break an arm, going to break a leg, so they must stop to avoid this injury. And I think is something I have a lot of respect for, that attention to detail, to be able to do that with so many other high level people, and to do that for so long as you have, to have this number of victories. You showed me pictures. You see you have 10 belts over time from tournaments and different championships. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's 10 more than I have. 10 more than I have at the moment. So. In any case, English is not his first language. He speaks brilliantly with me, but a little broken. I have to interpret, and he has to interpret, but we do very well together. And I think that something that I'll make the point for you watching right now, that if you don't pay attention to these little details, it's the difference between having average returns and exceptional returns. And any idiot can. You could if you're a real idiot, then you give money to a broker to invest for you. And then they take about 15 or 20% of your profits, and they get you an average return. They take 15, 20%, and you get what's left over because you're an idiot. And if your brain works just a little bit, then you just buy an index fund yourself, and you could have an average return. And if you're okay with average, then I guess. But it's all those little details that, whether this course is primarily focused on real estate, but it's all those little details of making sure your contractors are doing what they're supposed to do. We spent an hour today. We went and looked at my construction project. Yep. I spent 1 hour, and you see me with all of the men, different men. We're talking about how the wall was put together. We're talking about how the floor is supposed to go together. There's a glass wall going in. The cabinets, every little detail, electrical things.
And you make many attention in any details.
Yeah, all the little, every little, and I'm with the men on the floor on my hands and knees, and we're discussing 1/16 of an inch, less than 1 millimeter. So no, that's not true. Inch has 2.54 centimeters, so 1.5 millimeters. We're discussing that the floor for the whole distance, that I want it within 1.5 millimeters, no more or less, for the length of the whole thing, because we're going to put a piece of glass there, and it has to cover, and it has to be perfect. And we're discussing a lot of little details like that, and that's the difference of having, for your own projects, having a beautiful palace, a beautiful home. Everything is precise, everything is perfect, or just a pile of shit, just living in a fucking dump. And it's the difference in your real estate portfolio, looking at those little details, that I know how much materials are coming in, I know how much materials are leaving, I know where everything's going. The one wall, they accidentally didn't put some insulation in my one wall. I told the men, take off the drywall, take off the plaster, and put in, and the kid's putting the screw, he's like, okay, he's putting an extra screw in. I said, you're going the wrong way, kid. Take the screw out, take all the screws out, and put in the insulation like it was supposed to be, and then put it back together. And that was just, he wasn't trying to do something wrong, but if I'm not there to see the detail forever, there's no insulation and there's more sound. More sound is transferring.
Of course, one scratch, 1 millimeters, one broken pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, and pretty soon you look around and there's 70 problems in the room. There'll be 50 problems, 70 problems if you let them happen. So for your personal construction, if you're building a beautiful home, if you don't want to be robbed, if you don't want to pay a contractor, for the type of projects that I've done here, if I was not there doing these little things, it cost me at least $1 million more, and I would have worse outcome, because no one would spend the time like I do. The guys that are over there, the men you see today, these men have been working with me almost 2 years, so they know I want like this, I want like this. Most things are going to be very good. The guys that don't listen so good, I already fired them long time ago. Long time ago they've been fired. Long time ago they left. So again, for your life, if you want to have high quality outcomes in your own construction or remodeling, you have to know the little details. That's why this program is so full of details. If you want to have high quality outcomes in your real estate portfolio, if you want things, look, a contractor will sell you, think about a roof. A contractor, they say, oh, I'll replace the roof. But one person will replace it with shingles that last 50 years, half a century. And one person will try to replace it with shingles that last 15 years. And the labor is about the same. So if you don't know the difference, you're going to replace the roof, 3 times instead of once. And you're going to pay for the labor every time. So you need to understand the quality of what is the quality of materials that you're purchasing. Is the labor, are the men putting it together correctly? Are they doing it the best possible way? And like the industry standard is not enough. The industry standard is you can do better. You can do better. I talked with Kamaru Usman a few months ago. I had an interview with Kamaru. He was talking about wrestling. He said when he was young, he was at college wrestling, and he said that he was doing everything that the team was doing, normal college wrestling, all the normal things that everybody on the team was doing, everything the coach said. And he said he would win and then he'd lose, and he'd win and he'd lose. And he said he goes to the coach and he said, I'm really not doing that great. I win, then I lose. I win a couple, I lose a couple. I'm just doing average. And he says the coach tells him, well, if you're doing the same training that all the other men are doing, why would you have better outcome? He says if you want to have your outcome like this, you have to train more. You have to be smarter than them, train harder than them, do more, all the little details.
Less mistake, more details.
Yeah. And the life is this way. If you allow things to be sloppy, they're going to be. If you don't have the patience to deal with those little things, then you're going to have to accept much worse outcomes than were available to you if you have the patience, the time. Some things you show me, I don't know. Some of the things we're doing 10 times today, and I don't try to rush anything. I take the time, I try to learn every little, I want to do it the best way, yeah?
But each time you're doing better and better. You learn detail and learn very fast.
You told me when we were in Florida, you gave me a ride back to my hotel suite, and you said there's some men, professional fighters, you have to show them something 10 times, and maybe they don't understand. Yeah. And it's a lot of things you show me twice, and then I can do. So I thought that was a very nice compliment.
Because you change everything in your mind. Many guys try change physically, but not change in the mentality, in their mind.
Yeah. Every time when Alexei is teaching me something new, he does something to me a couple times, and I have to think about that, or this. And, maybe there's 12 parts. And I think, oh, boom, boom, boom. Maybe I see 4 of them right away. And then I say, okay, let's do it again. And now maybe I see, oh, I was right about 3. One of them was not that, it was this. And then there was these other 2. Now maybe I see 6 parts. And then we got to, then I have to do, then he has to do, then I have to do. And you put the model together, and if there's 12 parts and you forget 3 of them, then nothing is happening now.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say. Now you just got knocked out.
One is not too big problem. Two is bigger, and three, each time they more and more and more.
If you don't pay attention to those details, you're in trouble. It's the difference between average returns, average outcomes, being average on the wrestling team because you did what everybody else did, or being, Kamaru I think is 6-time champion right now, 6-time champion. All right, so it's the difference between, Alexei has 10 belts, Alexei has 60 professional victories. So if you were doing what other people were doing, this is not possible. It's all those little things, little detail. The difference from being nobody or being average or really being special, doing something very special. And I really would stress to you that this is vital for your business, for the stock market, and for real estate too. I'll just focus on real estate for one moment. You have to be able to understand. You have to see the details in the contract and be able to speak with the attorney that's drafting your contracts. And it might be mostly a standard lease, but there's some things that you could tweak in your favor that a local court will still support these things and find in your favor. You have to understand the basic legal things. You have to understand, some laws of, what you could do or not do depending where you live. Under what circumstances you can throw your tenants out, have them evicted. You have to understand the construction things, or repairs, maintenance. If you know that well and you do it consistently and you have good systems, you're going to make a lot of money in real estate. You can manage a portfolio well. You can make a lot of money. And if you don't do this, then your expenses might cost you double, triple, and your profits are going to someone else instead of going to you. So don't have a mindset like, if I just learn a few things, I can learn just a few things and make all this money. It's like, well, it sounds nice, but it's not that way. It's like, if you learn just a few moves in jiu-jitsu, are you a real black belt? Or there's a lot of other supporting pieces, additional pieces that will get you, the difference of, black belt outcomes, champion outcomes versus very poor outcomes. So please be aware of that. And any other words that you would share, sir, that attention to detail, difference between amateur versus professional?
I won't just explain. If you won't be like everyone, of course, one time win, one time loss, one time win, one time loss is good. But if you will be best, if you will be champion, if you will be best investor, you can't ignore details. Of course, you must work with any details. And if you ask masters, if you ask best in this business, this best way for that. You can be black belt on investors, on real estate, or jiu-jitsu, or cooking, in everything.
One last thing. When we were leaving our training, we were training a couple hours this afternoon, and we were leaving the training and to come here and speak with them. And you made a comment that is very important to have the right training, the right knowledge. And this is something I say to them all the time, that if you're working very hard, but you had bad information, you can be working very hard, but you're making things worse. If you're training the wrong things, if you're doing the wrong things, you work very hard, but you're making things bad, making things worse, yeah?
You can run very fast, but if you run in wrong way, where you be?
Farther from your goal.
Yeah, of course.
If you're running towards the lion, you run very fast, but you're running towards the lion, not away from the lion.
Yeah.
You have a big problem. Alexei, thank you very much. Thank you for spending a bit of time.
Thank you for respect.
I was living on my coach's living room on a mattress. I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop. I quit my job. And
Derek Moneyberg presents 10 Commandments of Wealth.
took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC or Pride, and at the time. And
am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it as like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car, full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
It's been about a week since I've joined the 10 Commandments of Wealth program, and there's so many interviews that are offered in this program.
I'm inside the Derek Moneyberg 10 Commandments of Wealth program. This is an awesome program that you're gonna love. I'm gonna use the principles and the knowledge from this program to help me boost my leads in my marketing firm. Buy this program, it's a wonderful investment for your future. You won't regret it and you'll absolutely love it.